I can't with the bullshit anymore. I can't. I'm sorry I'm late. I just keep running on with this because I can't. I'm going to talk about this home affordability gaslighting BS. And I'm going to show you some cold, hard facts. But first, I'm going to kick it off with this news from the U.S. U.S. goods trade deficit widens in May as exports fall. No shit, Sherlock. Remember, this global trade war that we're dealing with is all because the United States didn't like its trade deficit. They proposed that the trade deficit was akin to a tariff. So they imposed tariffs on everyone. The trade gap widened to 11.1%. So it has had precisely the opposite effect of its intention. Because that wasn't the intention. This is a tax transfer. Instead of wealthy people and wealthy companies paying their fair share of taxes or paying employees properly, which would increase the tax base across the board, what they've chosen to do is to push tariffs onto people, which is additional taxation. That's what it is. They've moved the taxation from the rich to the poor. The last time this happened, it kicked off the Great Depression. The Great Depression lasted for a decade. And these people don't want to leave office. Just keep that in mind. For those thinking in 2028 there'll be a change, there may not be. Now that I have shone a light on what the world will look like over the next decade, let's talk about this. June 19th, 4.8 million new homes need to be built over the next 10 years to restore affordability. I keep coming back to this article because it makes me that upset. Let me show you something. 4 days later, restoring Canada's previous housing affordability levels isn't realistic. I despise when people come to me and say, oh, it's law of supply and demand. If we have more supply, then the prices will go down. Guarantee everybody who says that has never had an economics class. Because a housing unit only becomes a unit after the process of construction. Even if you're converting your basement, you have to do the conversion. So it becomes a housing unit, an additional housing unit, after the process of construction. Guess what construction costs? It's a lot. That's all you need to know. And it keeps going up. It has, in fact, never gone down. Now, I know at this point in time, some troll is going to sit there and say, oh yeah, it does come down, but it doesn't really come down. Like, a tiny fluctuation does not compensate for the massive growth. I'm going to use a history of the Consumer Price Index here in Canada, going back to 1915. There's the Nixon shock. Prior to that, there was stability in prices because there was stability in currency. Since then, currency has essentially been a free-floating thing, and prices have gone in that direction and have never really come down. The example that I always give is the Great Financial Collapse, when trillions of dollars were destroyed. It's a blip. It's a blip on this chart. Prices, generally speaking, don't come down. They only go up. Here's what the construction cost index looks like. Since 2017, it goes up. It just goes up. So if all the components that go into construction go up and never come down, and we're going to build more, ergo increasing the demand on these components, how is this going to get less expensive? Is Canada setting itself up for a big home price spike in 2030? Yes. Why? Because, like I said, this construction, very expensive. Current market sentiment is that the finished product is worth less than the cost to make it. So construction has stopped. So we're just winding the spring now. Let me be very clear. I've said this in the past. We need immigration. We need about this much immigration. This is the grease that keeps the wheels moving in the economy. You likely have a job. Whatever you do, your job likely depends on that immigration. That keeps the economy moving. But if we ain't building places, and consumer sentiment is that this ain't worth shit, but the cost to make it keeps going up. Like, whether we build or don't build, the cost is going up. The cost can either go up slower or faster, but it's going up. We need to have a real discussion. The price of the housing, the cost of the housing, that's not the problem. It's also not going to come down. So if there's a problem with affordability, it's not the product that's the problem. It's your ability to pay that's the problem, because you're not getting paid enough. At some point in time, we're going to have an uprising, and people are going to get paid. Take a guess where the uprising is going to start.